Welcome to the August 2025 LGBTQIA plus Commission meeting. I am going to call roll with the understanding that from as of now, we have not met quorum and thus we will not be voting within this meeting. But to start, we will call roll. Leonard, or anyone that is here, please say aye. Leonard Orbovich. Catherine Calhoun is excused. Julian McLean.
Aye.
Richard Persakian.
Here.
Shanti Porter. Sarah Rosso.
Here.
Derek Tynes. Guillermo Velasquez. Kevin Carroll. Barb Warwick. Donald Donovan.
Here.
Alexander Gray is going to be late by a few minutes. And Anne Marie Ellison.
Aye.
Wonderful, wonderful. As said before, we have not met quorum today, so I am going to pass the reading and approval of prior minutes for two reasons. First of all, I need to do more due diligence in finishing the minutes. They are a project that keeps getting away from me, and then we would also need to vote to approve them anyway, so we can pass that for today. And next meeting, I will probably have like 3 months worth of minutes for us to approve. There have not been any acknowledgement of public comment, so there's nothing to say there. I'll give space. Julian, do you as co-chair have any reports or anything you'd like to bring up to the commission as co-chair?
Yes, I actually do. And these are just a couple of just events that I think that should be in our purview. So if we'd like to have a presence there at all, because I know that we got marketing materials and we're getting a tablecloth and everything. So PERSAD Fest is happening on September 6th. And I don't know if Danny eventually wants to talk about that, but we can, I don't know if we want to open it up for notes at the end, or if we want to say this now. But I think they're celebrating the gym that they've opened up at PERSAD. And so I will be there. So I invite you all to come as well. Then Pride on Tap is our collaboration with Trace Brewing, and it's still coming, or still ongoing. It's September 18th, and that's the third Thursday of the month. And any updates or anything that you all have from your organizations, or if you just want to come and mix and mingle, it's at their Echo location in Uptown, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every third Thursday. And then we are in the midst of planning World AIDS Day, December 1st. And we'll be at Shepherd Wellness, but it's an annual event. And in the wake of a lot of organizations just losing funding for different things and things like that, for HIV prevention and HIV care, I invite you all to support that as well. But those are my updates.
Phenomenal updates. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Julian before we move on? Lovely. And seeing that Cece and Alexander are not here currently, we're going to pass the other co-chair report as well as the outreach coordinator report, move on into special committees, which right now has been our Outfest planning. Sorry about any sirens. So I just wanted to give a quick update on Outfest. It is moving along. So I'm very happy to say we have confirmed Hazelwood Green for October 11th from 3 to 8 p.m. That is ours. They have been incredibly kind in allowing us to use that space for free, with the understanding that we also are not going to charge any vendors or people to physically be there, since it's a city-sponsored event. And so that moves into permitting. I have already submitted all of the permitting to public safety for us to be able to have security through the police, as well as being able to have alcohol served in certain spaces at Hazelwood Green, especially if it's through vendors that already have licenses. Does anybody have any questions about that prior to moving on?
I do. And your foresight, what is our capacity as the commission? Like, what should we do?
Yeah. So I think a huge part of the commission, as far as planning, is going to be things like outreach to community members, outreach, as well as like some overall planning, not necessarily voting, but rather like I want your voices and your ideas to be uplifted in this process. Obviously, this is like the city's event, but this is for our community, and thus it would make no sense for the commission to not have a voice in this process, which we will get more to, I promise. This was just more of the admin stuff I had to do in the background to put us in a place where like things were confirmed prior to us getting to a place where we can talk more about the specifics. So getting into the specifics, so the language around this is a few things. First of all, I've created several forms for vendors to apply to be there. Again, no cost oriented with it, but I do want to know, like, why do you want to come and table at Outfest? Like, I want to make sure that you don't have issues with the LGBTQIA community if you're going to come and table. As well as like some information about what kind of vendor you are. Like, are you a for-profit business? Are you an advocacy group? Are you health oriented? Because I'd like to group those things together, similar to how they do usually at Pride. So there's a vendor form. There is a performer form. So if you want to be, and we're trying to focus obviously on local performers for, really uplifting our local community. If you are doing drag, if you are singing, dancing, comedy, or some other kind of performance, you are going to be compensated, but we still would need you to apply to be able to figure out, how many performers can we pay? How long are they going to be performing, etc. So I've created that form as well as a volunteer form. Pretty self-explanatory. I just need those to go through our law department to make sure they are A-okay before I give them out to the public. So I'm waiting on those to be approved by law. But those have already been created. We're already moving along with that. The other thing that we'll be creating is an Engage PGH page, which is basically a section of the city's website that will be dedicated specifically to Outfest. All of those links to those forms will be on there. A summary as to what Outfest is, where it's going to be, what it's going to be about, as well as the fact that it is free, that there will be time for families and activities for families, but there's also going to be, things like a vote competition, etc., for more adult folks that are going to be there. All of that information will be there, and I'm helping to develop that right now. That should be done before the end of the month. One thing that I did want the commission's immediate thoughts on was the logo. I love that we're coming back to a logo. The commission can't get away from a logo. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And again, this is not a situation where we have to vote or anything. I would just like thoughts because at the end of the day, I want to make sure you don't think it's ugly. Can everyone see the Outfest? Okay, I'm going to mute myself. Feel free to talk. I'm giving space.
If the fest is supposed to be an exclamation point, I think it should be boxed in or of some sort. Because yeah. I like it though.
Oh,
I thought.
I will try to use fast with the yellow and black, more like the Pittsburgh colors. And yeah, like box, like Julian is saying.
Boxing, it shouldn't be a problem. We did try it with gold, like the fest in gold instead of black. And I think it looked fine. It was just easier to read in black.
Yeah, I think you can leave the letters in black and then put the
line.
exclamation thing in yellow, like the color of the city of Pittsburgh.
I got you.
And it will make sense with the logo at the bottom, but make that exclamation long, like it can be more prominent.
Like it extended a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, more like different than the out. Yeah,
We can do that.
it is already, but
We can do that. That's not a problem. Any other thoughts? If you absolutely hate it, please let me know. We can start over. I just want to, this is obviously a starting point. This is a draft.
My initial thought would be like, I want to know that it's in Pittsburgh. So I almost want to see under out in bold block, just like in Fest, out Pittsburgh.
Okay, heard.
Just so we like center it that it's in our city, because the city logo is so small. We have no sense, a lot of us from who may not know the logo of the city, like what is that dot there?
Okay.
And it could be like as bold as Fest, as wide as the word out.
Okay, heard. We can definitely play around with that.
Yeah. Were there other ideas?
Nope, this is just the one we've been messing with for about a week.
I do like it because it's
I
very clean.
I will say that I looked at quite a few other cities, and a lot of them get kind of muddy, for lack of a better word. Like it's like a rainbow in a circle with the city's landscape, and then there's like words in the sky, and it's on a small scale, it gets really, really hard to read. And so I was trying my very best to avoid it being really muddy. But I really like how the out came out. I'm more than happy to mess with like the fest, working through the explanation point, seeing, but like, does everybody feel like this is a pretty good direction we're going in?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, I like the out too.
Yeah, the out is my favorite part. I would also play around with the
And
a fest. I
yeah,
think it looked like the T. I don't know why it seems like I think everything looks childish nowadays. But maybe it's just my I'm getting older. But I just feel like maybe I don't know the
We can
fest.
mess with another font.
Yeah,
We can see how
fine.
some other fonts look with the fest. But if the issue is just the way the fest looks, we can work with that. We can absolutely work with that.
So yeah, I think outlining it. Yeah, with gold and maybe even black and gold. Yeah, with gold, I think is great. I
Okay.
think
and
Pittsburgh.
I also like the suggestion from Richard to put Pittsburgh below out, maybe like in gold, which is like because you put it in black, it's gonna be more predominant than the out, and you want the
Hmm.
out to be more like colorful. So
Exactly.
you put Pittsburgh like in goldish or something.
Yeah, my brain's spinning as to how I'm gonna figure out the Pittsburgh part, but I think we can definitely do that. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Is everybody okay with the seal being the point on the explanation, or does that feel too cringy?
Oh, no, it's good.
Okay, perfect.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay, sorry.
Any other thoughts on the logo before I read this back? Okay. So from what I'm hearing, we're happy with the way out looks. We're not messing with the out. Fest, we might want to mess with the font a little bit on the Fest, as well as outline it in gold so that it's matching the Pittsburgh letters. And we're going to try to figure out a way to incorporate Pittsburgh in either a gold kind of way, either above or below the out, probably, or maybe integrated into it somehow.
And
Um,
you might look at if it's gold, maybe outlining it in black, just
yeah.
so it does read. Sometimes it just washes out, but it would depend on how bold the color of gold is, that
Yeah.
kind of. So
Okay, cool. We can definitely do that. I'll mess around with this and I'll send you guys the more final version of it prior to it actually going up anywhere. Okay?
can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
Where is this budget coming from?
I budgeted for this last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's almost $20,000 that have been allocated from the city to this festival. So,
Is the city providing a stage and sound system,
yes.
that kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy to be transparent about this. We've been very lucky that because it's a city-sponsored event, security through the police department is completely covered. The permitting is completely covered. Obviously, the venue is covered. Us being able to have any of the equipment from our special events team, including a stage, sound equipment, that's all covered. The stuff that I actually will have to pay for are things like our performers, any food, or like I would like to provide water to everybody. But a lot of the things are already a bouncy house or anything along those lines for families. But that's all like really random miscellaneous stuff. So we're going to be able to like pay local performers very well, as I would hope to, and things like that, so that it should be pretty successful. Any other questions regarding logo, Outfest, the current status of anything regarding the festival?
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at Hazelwood Green on October
Okay.
11th from 3 to 8.
Okay.
Which is a Saturday as well, which works out perfectly.
Okay.
The one thing I will say that I have absolutely no idea of is what kind of population we're going to be expecting. Like, there could be like 1,000 people that show up. There could be like 10,000 people that show up. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
That is a lot of what I will lean not only on you as commissioners for, but really like any like city personnel, the commission, pretty much our websites, our social media to get this out to ensure that we get a good amount of people coming. Because even though we're not charging our vendors to be there, I do want them obviously to get some sort of economic boost from tabling there and being able to talk about their organizations or their business and be able to make something out of it. So I will be keeping you all in the loop as that's all happening. I also just printed the first rendition of 1,000 Know Your Rights cards that are in Spanish and English. I'm probably going to print roughly 3,000 to 5,000 of these prior to the event so that if not everybody, nearly everybody gets a Know Your Rights card as they're coming into the festival. Okay?
Three things just for you on this. One is that if you're able to get public source to advertise it, that
Yeah.
might help. And if you pass me your press release, whatever you have, I can make sure that they get it. The other thing is that the organization where I work, we have a business incubator that is supported by the city. And a lot of the entrepreneurs that we have are food vendors and they have food trucks. So if you are in need of food trucks or food vendors, I know that you may want to have LGBT vendors, but if you need any, please feel free to let me know so I have a handful that I can put you in contact with.
Absolutely, Guillermo. Yeah, no. And obviously my preference in this situation is to uplift our community specifically, but I have nothing against food vendors that are allies and supportive of our community being able to come and be a part of the event.
And then when you have the flyer, just if you can share it with us so that we can share in our social media.
100%. I'm going to be bothering you all the time with emails, I promise. So yeah, no, I will happily follow up with public source once we have the engage page done so that they actually have like a website to be able to go back to get any information or any updates that are needed. I'll reach out to you about food vendors when we're offline, and I will make sure that all of the marketing materials are sent to all the commissioners so that y'all can share it with your own networks, as well as I will say when the forms are approved for vendors, if you yourself know any queer businesses, Richard, I'm not going to call you out, but you yourself are a queer business owner. If you or anybody you know is interested in tabling or having any of your organizations or events featured there, I obviously want you to kind of highlight that for me to make sure that they're getting a table, because there is a limited amount. I think it's something around 800 to 1,100 total tables and maybe 600 tents that are going to be available. So I want to make sure that you all, any work that you're doing, organizations that you're involved in, businesses that you're involved in are going to have some space there. Okay.
Also, maybe sending a press release to WSA because
Okay.
now, where all the changes, they may be very happy to promote this event.
WSA. Yeah. Okay. Got you. Anything else that would be specific to Outfest before we move on?
Yeah, I have two quick things. So differentiating from Pride, I'm thinking of how the attendees can walk away with something or we can make an impact on this. And I'm just spitballing, but like an art install or something that might be interesting, might be a way for people to write their like coming out, like a little brief statement or like the coming out date and like attach it to a balloon or something that's non-toxic and non-landfill.
I like that
Know what
idea.
that
Yeah.
is?
Maybe
And
we
then
can do like a giant wall, like a big Outfest wall with like
yeah,
little things, maybe. Yeah, something like that.
yeah. And then so again, the ongoing purpose of it is to invite people to tell their coming out story or maybe come out that day and be supportive of that, but then also collect a metric of all these coming out stories over the years.
Love it. Okay.
Hey, one more comment about your logo, and I don't know if this will be great or not, but sometimes this is this isn't something that all the time has been happening. People may not know that it's organized by or supported by the city of Pittsburgh or something. And so sometimes a little slogan may help underneath the logo, something like saying a city of Pittsburgh celebration or something like that. So people get that it's an event of the city of Pittsburgh. So it's not something that came out of nowhere when nobody knows about it.
Yeah. Okay, heard. That sounds great. Little slogan, something like it's a celebration. I love that. Okay. I think I've got everything down. Any other thoughts before we move on from Outfest, location, permitting, language, logo?
One more thing, is the city allowing sponsors?
So we've gone back and forth with that. My only concern with sponsors is that I don't know exactly like if we'll be able to put a logo on like a giant banner or something like I'm gonna try to order a giant banner, obviously. But I don't know what the city's kind of regulations are on like what to do with that money, if that makes sense, because the city usually doesn't get paid money in those instances. So I have been told that unless it's like if somebody wanted to sponsor a specific item or a specific thing as a part of the festival, like I'm just going to take Julian's idea about like an art wall or like an art installation of some sort. If there was an organization that was like, I want to pay towards or for this art installation and they have their logo somewhere on that art installation, that's totally fine with me. But I'm not going to say like, hey, you can sponsor the event because I don't know what I would do if people were just giving me or the city money, if that makes sense.
Would it be something like sponsoring performers?
Yeah, that would definitely be something we could do. Yeah. And if you want, Richard, if you have any idea of people that would want to sponsor performers, we can definitely talk more about that.
Yeah, I would be into that because I've done that in the past.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that.
Especially the drag community.
No, yeah, exactly. And actually, that would be a really easy one because we can also like on stage announce that you're a sponsor. Like that would be quite easy to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, great. Any other questions before we move on to unfinished business? Lovely, lovely, lovely. So these are going to be super quick. Our recommendations are moving and grooving. I've set some dates to meet with some folks. As everybody, I'm sure, understands, summer is a time where nearly everybody is on vacation at one point or another. So it's been a little difficult to get a meeting in the short term, but in the long term, I have some meetings set up in September to talk through our restroom recommendations, our trainings, and then in early September, Julian, you can look out for this because you are a gender equity commissioner. But we are going to have the first gender equity commission in which they are also going to be introducing the menstrual products and reproductive leave. If they were to pass that, which I hope that they would, it would be kind of crazy if they didn't. In that recommendation, it would mean that both the LGBTQIA Commission and the Gender Equity Commission for the city of Pittsburgh are recommending that we have free menstrual products within city facilities and that we create reproductive leave instead of pregnancy loss leave for city staff. So it would be great to have that support, which means you have, double kind of the voices advocating for these issues to be pushed forward with city council. I also will be connecting with Barb Warwick, which is our commissioner on the LGBTQIA Commission, as well as Deb Gross, who is the Gender Equity Commission council appointment, to talk through how we can, through them, move this forward into legislation. In the meantime, the legislation has already been introduced for the LGBTQIA Commission staffer language amendment, which just means we are adding that little paragraph into the ordinance that says, hey, no matter who is the mayor, they have to appoint somebody that is at least on a managerial level to the commission to ensure that they are following up on the administrative work, making sure that commissioners are being onboarded and recruited, doing all of the agendas, following up and making sure the meetings are happening, all of those sorts of things. So that is moving forward. That actually should be introduced before the end of the month, and I am currently setting up the briefings with council members on that. I don't anticipate any sort of pushback, to be totally honest with you. This language already exists in the Gender Equity Commission's ordinance, and it's pretty straightforward. I don't think the commission is asking for anything that is unusual. I'm pretty sure every other commission in the city has some kind of staffer. So this is just to make sure that somebody is always appointed and is showing up to do the kind of work that I do for you all. Any questions about any of the recommendations or the legislation? Amazing, 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 amazing. Moving forward, Alexander, it is so wonderful to see your face. I know you sent an email about wanting to discuss the situation going on at UPMC, so I'm going to give you a little bit of space on the floor. Also, before you even speak, Alexander did send a link in the email if you want some more information through that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. So basically, the link I sent was from a WESA article about the Department of Justice subpoenaing UPMC for all records regarding gender-affirming care. So this came from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, basically framing it as being in violation of something called the False Claims Act. And that act is basically a way to prosecute either organizations or individuals who submit, basically false claims bills to the government for payment. So that is how this is framed. Clearly, as we've come to expect from this administration, they're using legislation, they're using policies that in ways that they were not intended in order to push an anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ agenda. I feel like that's pretty obvious, self-explanatory. I think the real question is how we want to engage on this issue, if we want to write a statement or, propose anything at the local level to city governments. I think that's up to our commission, but that's my piece. That's what I got to say.
Thank you, Alex. Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, even though that we can't vote today, like a recommendation of some sort, like who would, I'm just asking, who would we be directing a recommendation to? Or if we just can make a statement about being, I don't know, how reprehensible that we feel like that is. I guess that's an option. But yeah, just in general, like who would we direct something to? UPMC?
Can I maybe butt in a little bit in here? Which, I mean, I think there's a lot of things we can do as a commission when it comes to like writing statements, that kind of thing. And I think that that does have significance, especially saying kind of like how we as a body of a city government feel about the kind of actions that are happening. But I want to express that showing up physically can also have a genuine impact to say, these people are representing the interests of the LGBTQIA community in Pittsburgh. And it's not just statements, it's also physical action that they are taking to show up for the community. And I guess what this is all getting into is I was just told today that Dina Stanley is planning a protest for tomorrow because of UPMC and the actions they have been that they've taken, as well as the subpoena, from my understanding. And I did put it on our agenda today, mostly as just an awareness kind of thing, but also because I do think it is significant to have commissioners there, even if they are not speaking on a stage or anything along those lines, to say, if you are talking to media, for instance, or if you are talking to other community leaders, that you can say on behalf of the LGBTQIA Commission as a commissioner, I know the kind of impact that this has on our community. So I did just want to say that there are ways that we could go about this in a way that doesn't necessarily need a vote if you yourself want to show up as a commissioner.
Great, great, great. Thank you for that. And then as well, that brings me to a separate question about our social media and like how we can promote that. And then, but yeah, I think that's a great, because I was planning on attending. I just didn't know how much for like when I do attend marches and things like that, I just didn't know how much power I have in saying, on speaking on behalf of, I know that we've said this a multiple of times and that we have autonomy and that we can, but still, I'm always like, I want to be in accordance with the mayor for some reason. And so,
You're not going to be in the courts at all. You're going to be close by. No, I think
uh-oh.
it's a good thing to bring up though. You know, at the end of the day, as I've said before, like we selected you as commissioners and you are in your positions because we know that you care deeply about the community and the well-being of our residents and that you can speak on behalf of their needs in many ways. You know, in the similar way that if somebody from city council is speaking on something and says, you know, as a public servant, as an elected official, this is how I feel, and this is what I think my community needs, you have every right as a commissioner to say, you know, not only as a resident, but as a commissioner on the city's LGBTQIA commission, I feel like this is XYZ, you know? So, that's just kind of how I would take it. I don't want you to ever feel like you have to mince your words, knowing that you were put in your position because we know that your expertise matters.
Right. Thank you for that. I just know when I'm the mayor, no one can speak on my behalf.
That's for when Julian's mayor, but
That's
today
what
is today.
But yeah, thank you.
Do we want to have any additional thoughts on the situation of UPMC, either the event itself or the situation going on with subpoenas or anything that the commission, you might want the commission to do about that situation?
I'll be there tomorrow, so I'm happy to show up. And I mean, we can do that for a while. But then, yeah, I don't know if we want to say
Absolutely.
for our general notes about the social media.
Okay, heard. I do need to wrangle the social media. Thank you for reminding me, Julian. You're my shining star when it comes to reminding me about that social media. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah. Do you have like any promotional collateral for that event tomorrow that I could share with student groups at Pitt?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
that might actually drive a lot. Because
Somebody emailed it to me. I don't know if Kuberg has it yet either, but my boss emailed it to me right before the commission started. So or like an hour before. So
I
okay,
did get an
yes, I
email
have it.
also. I did get an email also.
I'll forward this to the entire commission if that's all right with everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Good night. All right. Anybody else have any other comments? I guess we're kind of in announcements at this point. Does anybody have any announcements they'd like to speak on?
Yes, I do. The Taco Festival, it's happening on September the 6th in the Street District at the Three Stacks. I can send you the flyer through here or via email. And so make sure that you have it, share it if you can. So far, I know the mayor is going to be there. And you can have a table if you like to. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, would love a table. Go ahead and send that info to me, Guillermo, and then
Okay.
we'll go from there. But yeah, I would love a table. That sounds fun. That sounds great.
Okay.
Alex, I think I saw you.
Yes. So a couple of things. As you may all well know, I'm the advocacy chair for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention here in Western PA. And we have the Out of the Darkness Walk on September 6th, which is our big fundraiser. I'm really happy to announce that Mayor Gainey will be in attendance, which is super exciting. I'm really thrilled about. If you're at all interested in donating to my fundraising campaign for the walk, please let me know. I can send you a link to my the page for that, and any details about the event if you're interested in walking with us. As you all know, this issue really impacts the LGBTQIA community, especially hard. So that's why I'm walking. That's why I do this work. So that's my spiel.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex. Anybody else have any other announcements?
September 6th is going to be busy.
I know. I have to be everywhere. No, it
Okay.
sounds phenomenal. Sounds great.
And I was just going to say, I wish, I don't know if Danny's still on the call.
No, I think Donnie had to leave early.
But Parasite Fest is also on September 6th. Speaking of September 6th. And yeah, I think I put that in my note, but I just thought of September 6th.
I'll make sure I don't book anything on September 6th because I'm already booked, obviously. Sounds good. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Alrighty. Oh, the last thing, if anybody has any other announcements, I'll give you a second to speak up. Okay. Otherwise, I did want to let y'all know that we had the city is doing a comprehensive plan for what the city's going to look like in 2050. They've been doing a lot of work over the last, I think, over a year to survey a ton of different community members in different neighborhoods. They're including all 90 neighborhoods in this comprehensive plan, which is really wonderful. It's the first time that has been done in this fashion. And they had a youth comprehensive plan kind of like fest. I don't know what to call it. Everything's a fest at this point. A kind of event last week in which I was asked to table for the commission. And I just wanted to let you all know that we got a lot of really wonderful feedback from youth that were there. I had multiple queer LGBTQIA identified students come up and talk about the importance of having the commission and be really happy to learn about the kind of work that you all did. So I just wanted to pass that along and let you know that it went very well. It was about a 2-hour event downstairs in the bottom of the CCB, and I was really, really happy to see that kind of impact on those students. But yeah, I'll give a second. If anybody has any last minute announcements, please let me know. And otherwise, because we did not meet quorum, we actually don't need to vote to adjourn. So I'm just going to adjourn. I hope everybody has a wonderful August.